Hi, I'm Shelley Young, owner of the Chopping Block, and today I'm going to teach you how to make risotto. The main ingredient in risotto is rice, and there's two kinds of rice that we use normally. Arborio, which you can generally find anywhere, and there's also a rice called carnaroli that is commonly used. The carnaroli has a little bit more texture to it, just a little more al dente. Arborio is a little softer textured rice. What you'll see in a rice like this is that it's a very short-grained rice. And that short grain, when a rice has a short grain to it, it tends to be creamier and starchier. And that's perfect to create a creamy risotto. The other important ingredient in your risotto is your stock. We're making mushroom risotto today, so we're going to use a mushroom stock, which is a very simple stock to make. I used porcini mushrooms. I used about 1.5 ounces of porcini mushrooms, and I soaked them in hot water. I used 4 cups of hot water today. And if I was going to use chicken stock, which is another option, if you couldn't find dried mushrooms, you can also use that, a good quality chicken stock, preferably something from a can or freshly made versus a bouillon cube. You're going to get a better result with that. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to remove these mushrooms once they're soft. It takes about 30 minutes in hot water. And I'm going to mince those, set them aside. We'll add them at the end of the cooking time. And I'm going to strain this liquid into a stock pot and warm the stock. So we'll add stock throughout the cooking time of the risotto. So I preheated my stock pot. I'm using cast iron today. It's really beautiful for risotto because it holds the heat in. But if you don't have that, just use any kind of, at least a 5-quart stock pot. I'm going to add some good quality olive oil. We're going to use a good amount, about 2 tablespoons. And a little bit of butter. Italians like butter and olive oil, so I'm going to use about a tablespoon of butter as well. I've got sliced cremini mushrooms, domestic mushrooms, or whatever mushrooms you want to use are fine. I've cleaned these and sliced them. And we're going to add them to that nice hot pan. We're going to saute these until they get nice and brown. Then we're going to remove them from the pan. I'm going to add a couple more tablespoons of olive oil and butter. Right away, I'm going to add 1 minced shallot. And I've got 2 cloves of garlic here that I minced. We're going to give that a quick saute, just until you smell the garlic and shallots. I'm not looking to brown them. And immediately I'm going to add my 1.5 cups of arborio rice. We're going to saute that just for a minute or so, maybe not even a minute. And what we look for is the outside of the rice to become transparent, while the inside of the rice still looks opaque. And that just takes a second or so. As soon as that's done, I'm going to add a cup of white wine. Something dry is best, like a Sauvignon Blanc or Sancerre, Pinot Grigio, something like that. Now I'm going to stir this risotto and continue to add liquid. Just stirring it gently, adding liquid, which in this case we added white wine. We're going to continue with our mushroom stock. And we stir this as the liquid evaporates. We add more hot liquid until the rice is cooked and tender. There's some discussion about how tender it should be, but I really think it's to your taste. Some people like a little bit more texture, a little more toothsomeness in the rice. Some people like it really soft and creamy. I would make it the way that you like it, but I would recommend just a little bit of texture in the rice. So my risotto is almost all the way cooked, and there's still a little bit of liquid in the pan. It's still a little bit loose. I'm actually going to add just a little bit more. I want just a little bit of moisture left in here when I add my mushrooms back in because I want to be able to warm these through. You can leave these in through the whole cooking time if you like to as well. They infuse flavor differently. If we add our ingredients earlier, they're going to infuse the flavor throughout the rice a little bit more. In this case, they'll be a little bit more distinct. I just put the chopped porcini mushrooms in, and this is rosemary. Now this rosemary, if I was just using straight rosemary, I would add that at the beginning and let it cook throughout the whole cooking time, and I would only use about a teaspoon. This rosemary I sauteed in a little olive oil. I find it reduces the resinous kind of strong quality of rosemary and is much more appealing to my taste. So I'm going to add that rosemary in and mushrooms and let these warm. I'm going to turn off the heat now. So we're going to finish our risotto with a cup of Parmesan cheese. This is freshly grated, has lots of flavor that way. I like a little fresh parsley in here. It brightens the dish. You don't have to put that in if you don't want to. This is the time I like to salt because Parmesan has a lot of salt in it. So I like to season it alongside because then I can add it to my taste. A little black pepper if you like to taste, and I do like a little butter, so I'm going to add that tablespoon of butter. Oh, that's good. Perfect. And here we are. You want to serve this right away. And that is how you make risotto.